Hello and happy September 1st. Now, I'm doing this Facebook Live and I'll post it to YouTube. It's a spur of the moment thing. I was meditating yesterday and I realized that what we have been going through the last few months and what September will bring is huge, and I needed to share what's happening. In fact, I've decided that I'm going to do a monthly consciousness update around the first of the month. So if you're new to me, I'm Jonette Crowley, living in Denver, and I'm a channel, a shaman, and have been acknowledged as a grandmother in the Native American tradition, so acknowledged as an elder for Mother Earth. And I have the ability to see and work beyond the realms of energy into the realms of consciousness, which are the invisible templates from which the flows of energy follow. So I can see that which is beyond light. And the reason I can is because I've been working 32 years with a never been physical guide who calls himself Mark. And we've been doing weekly classes for 32 years. Now they're on Zoom. And we've been working in how to open up the doorways to the higher dimensions. Right now, we've been working with the 11th dimension. So a lot of us are talking about moving to the 5th. We're kind of laying the groundwork for where humanity will be someday. And so we're playing with the 11th dimension, which Mark calls Shambhala consciousness, which is the consciousness beyond physical light, but the doorway looks like light. And it's opening up so quickly. I think before, only the gurus and mystics who lived in caves or mountaintops could, because of the disruption on Earth, could maintain these high states. But now there's more of a marriage between Earth and our consciousness in the higher dimensions. They're coming together closer and closer. So what we've been doing, all of us who meditate or do consciousness work, is we've been building bridges. We go here in our meditation from here to the higher realms, come back to our normal life, go to the higher realms. And what we've done is build some pretty solid bridges from where we are now to those higher realms. Well, if you do it often enough, you begin, instead of crossing the bridge and coming back to Earth and to your normal limited consciousness, your permanent residence shifts and you are permanently in the fields of light. This happened to me about 2 weeks ago during a meditation, and I know it's going to happen to many, many more people. So it's important that I'll keep you updated in what I'm seeing, but it's a spontaneous shift. Our world is now, our worldview changes, and we come from the field of light and we visit and live in this world, but our perspective has changed because we're no longer limited or encased in this world. So let me back up. I've got notes in the wrong order there. So what's been happening is our star seeds, our inner light, have been opened up because of the rapid acceleration of what's happening on Earth. Here is my right notes. Oh well. The Schumann resonance, which is normally 7.83, is often above 40, and now sometimes it goes above 150. And there's massive solar storms. This 11-year solar cycle started in July with a bang, with a class X solar flare. So what's happening is we are feeling this massive change in vibrations, and it's making us spin faster. Everything can change more quickly. So what happens is this is activating. It's a self-activating cycle. The star seeds, the place inside us that's been hidden forever, our connection to the highest worlds. It's getting activated by these frequencies. And our job is to expand our consciousness and our awareness and our ability to hold light. And what this happens as we expand that in a centered, balanced way is our field begins to resonate to the star patterns that gave birth to us, because we're all hybrids of many stars. And when that resonance sets up, there's a connection, a quantum connection. And that quantum connection makes the speed of our awakening even faster, because now we're resonating with this massive generator from the galaxies. So then more and more opens up. So what I see happening now is it's an initiatory activation of humanity that's happening each of you at your same level, depending when you can hold the consciousness strong enough, connect with your stars, build that resonance, which is like a wormhole or a portal to get to the higher aspects of light. So let me kind of back up a little bit to July. So what happened in July is the elders of every tribe and nation that has ever existed on Earth gave their final approval for a coming together to be welcomed back into the community of the higher star beings. So what that signaled is a movement for humanity out of our adolescence, where we're watched, we're protected, into full maturity, into the realm of the cosmos once again. It's as if we had been relegated to this side stream because we weren't mature enough. And now we're out of the side stream into the mainstream of consciousness and activities in the cosmos. So when all of the elders from the past to the present welcomed the star beings, that opened a gate, and this happened in July, that opened a gate of, again, accelerated change. It moved us into what I'll call a jet stream of consciousness. So we moved into the jet stream, and all of a sudden we're carried into new possibilities. So then in August 8/8 was the opening of the Lionsgate Portal. That reconnected us especially to Sirius. And the star system Sirius has always been important in the evolution of humanity. They're kind of our nursemaids. And at this time, Sirius is aligned to Earth energetically in a way that was similar to how it was when humanity first began developing on Earth. So again, it's an alignment that has never been here before. What I've seen is rapid, sometimes instantaneous shifts in people where they cross the bridges, where they move from this smaller perspective of their small self and all its issues to living from this field of light. I call it the Buddhic plane. You still return here. This is still our field of play, our playground. But our viewpoint changes when we have these instantaneous enlightenment shifts, and we're supported in having them faster and faster. So we are asked to embody ascension and allow what I've always called discontinuous transfiguration, which means our future will be nothing like our past. It's not a straight line trajectory. We cross a quantum field, and instead of A going to B, it goes to Z way up here, or omega way up here. So there's quantum potentials for change in our lives and in our society. I'm seeing what I'll call tectonic shifts, and that's in consciousness, and that's when two plates, continental plates, sometimes rapidly hit each other and uplift. That disturbance, and we see the disturbance politically, emotionally, financially, in terms of COVID, we're seeing so much disruption now. That disruption, that upending of what has been smooth, allows for what's happening in September in consciousness. And I call it a reseeding of consciousness. Not reseeding going backwards, but reseeding as in the plant, the seeds of plants. So I want to read something that my guide Mark channeled. I think he channeled it in July. And he was talking about the massive changes that we're seeing in consciousness starting in early August, and that will continue, he says, through the end of the year. And you can find out more about my ongoing classes with Mark on my website, which is jonettecrowley.com. And we have free meditations and transcripts, etc. But this is what he said. And this is from a current class called The Essence of Shambhala, the 11th dimension. He said, there's an upliftment that you might liken to tectonic forces, where there are pressures building in earth and land masses coming together. One part uplifts, revealing all the strata of what has happened before. There's a recalibration of the earth's crust, giving rise to volcanoes, earthquakes, and other disturbing changes. You can imagine that same kind of tectonic upliftment is happening in the non-physical world, in the energetic currents that make up the cosmos. Currents that have always been patterned in a particular way are coming up against currents that are patterned in a totally new way. It is causing great upheaval. Yet in this opening, there are portals and doorways. Openings are coming to you from the frequencies of the sun and increased solar activity. In addition, higher frequencies are coming from the center of the galaxy. Yet even this is small compared to the imprint of creation that is flowing through all of the omniverse. We call it an imprint of creation because it's not physical. It's a fundamental to the physical world. It follows the rules of creation, which are expansion, harmony, non-exclusivity, and love. These patterns of creation are sweeping through the cosmos now. When these invisible, mathematically based patterns of creation intersect with the opening flow of energy, which we know is light, creation is the result. At this time, we are at the cusp of creation that is greater than ever before. Everything is creating. Everything is moving. Everything is unpredictable. Nothing is following old patterns of creation or evolution. It is cosmic. The next few months will feel like the cracking of an egg, and then within that, the cracking of another egg, and within that, the cracking of a third egg. There are 3 major crackings that will open up before the end of 2021. The first was around the 8/8 Lionsgate and the rising of Sirius. There will be a reconnection of the Sirian star system with Earth in a way that hasn't happened for millennia. This is a massive co-creation time for humanity. It's already beginning, but it will strengthen in August and beyond. He did say, Mark channeled, that he doesn't know when the other 2 crackings will happen because it depended on how we deal with the changes that are happening now. But he does feel that they will be before the end of the year. I'm doing a trilogy, which is 3 public Zoom activations. The first one was on 8/8. The second one, and you can join us, it's on our website. It's called Trilogy of Activations. The second one is going to be on September 22nd, which is the equinox. We don't know if that's exactly the same timing as the second cracking, but it's good. And the third one will be in December on the solstice. So as all this is happening in the solar realms, the Earth is getting into resonance. The Earth star is getting into resonance with the awakening of our heart star and our, I'll call it cosmic stars. As we create these stargates to the stars, our resonance then builds with the higher aspects of Mother Earth. So it's as if we're being shaken awake from the Earth, shaken awake from the stars, and we feel sandwiched in between. But it is an incredible time to make massive changes. Let's see what else I wanted to say here in my notes that are all over the place. So September is part of all this, but the words I've received when I look beyond energy into the fields of consciousness, which is of course the invisible templates that create energy, is as if new seeds, as if the star seeds inside us, the star seeds inside the earth, and every living being are being awakened. And I was trying to think of an analogy that would make this more clear, and I thought of food. And so the analogy I have, and I have my little props here, of what's happening is microwave popcorn. So when you buy the microwave popcorn, it's flat. It is just seeds waiting to open. They're hard, they're tough, they're insular, they're protected. And when you put them in the microwave, you increase the frequency. So as you increase the frequency, what we all know is some of the first kernels begin to pop. Those kernels are you. We are popping open. And what we're doing is expanding the flat envelope, because it's the first ones who pop open that open the space for others. So it's harder for us, but that's why we were born. We volunteered. So as the first ones pop open, and if you listen in your microwave, you can hear that it gets faster and faster, and there's a lull, and then it gets faster and faster until all of these hardened seeds that are kernels of corn become multidimensional from like 2D, they become 3D and multidimensional, and they're different. They're soft and fluffy. They're beautiful. They're hopeful. But always, I'm going to have a snack after this, but always in such an awakening, everyone has their own timing. Every kernel will pop at the right time. But there's always a few, when you open it up, that haven't popped. And it's their choice, but they end up burned on the bottom. So with these higher frequencies, we don't have much of a choice, do we? It is really a time to open up, to get out of our stuckness. And maybe we've been too distracted, but we have to get out of our stuckness because now is the time to move. So I have 4 things to pay attention to in September and beyond about how do we do this. Obviously, monitor your emotional reactions. Soften your judgments of yourself and others, because our judgments keep us as these separated little kernels. They keep us flat and not able to take part in this major transformation. So watch your judgments, and remember, they're of the mind. The mind is definitely a construct of earth. It is not a construct of heart or spirituality or the higher dimensions of Shambhala. Number two, I would say, of course, cultivate peacefulness, cultivate silence, honoring yourself, being in nature, centering yourself. Our world has made us so distracted. Our focus is always out there on getting more information on how do we look. It's always out there. And the picture I see is an ice skater. When an ice skater is starting her spin, her arms are out and she's spinning more slowly. But as she wants to spin more quickly, as she wants to increase her velocity of change, she brings her arms in. And I'm asking you now to stop being a result of everything out there. Get centered like the ice skater. That's going to give you the velocity to be in alignment with what's happening and to easily move through these portals that are available to everyone. Perfection, being holy, being saintly are not prerequisites. 3, shift your focus, and this is the part of staying centered. Shift your focus from what you don't agree with, what you don't like, to the energy of the outcome you intend. I mean, this is the secret. This is all of that. And know that you are creating your life. If there's anger, blame, victimhood, it's not from outside. It's what you choose to see, resonate with, and then it absolutely becomes your reality. And I would say number 4 is hold your power. So we're in for the opportunity of amazing, beautiful spiritual changes. And as you know, these spiritual changes change everything in your life. They bring you more spontaneity. They bring you more synchronicity. They bring you more clarity and a deeper sense of peace and happiness. To support all this, again, I've got my weekly classes with the guide Mark that have been going on 32 years every week. Those are on my website. And coming up just before the equinox, I have a Mark intensive, and it's 3 days on Zoom. It is held every 2 years. Last year we did it because of COVID, and we might start doing it every year. It's an international coming together where for 3 days on Zoom, we explore the highest dimensions. He's calling it everything and nothing, a boundless exploration of all that is and is not. I channel it. There's no outcome that we know, but we get together, perhaps 100 people on Zoom, and we go for whatever we can reach for ourselves, for our beloved Mother Earth, for humanity, and for the cosmos. So thank you. I'll come back again in October and do a consciousness update because things are rocking. Thank you so much.